this shit for? Trump plans on deporting people that have illegal parents. Uh-oh, here we go.
4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally. Your borders are
You're talking about separation.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are two aspects to this. Your border czar, Tom Homan, said they can be deported together.
Correct.
Is that the plan?
Well, that way you keep the well, I don't.
You keep the family together. You just don't give a fuck anymore, man.
I want to be breaking up families. So
Yeah.
The only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations. You can always find something out, like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'll tell you what's going to be horrible. When we take a wonderful young woman who's with a criminal, and they show the woman, and she could stay by the law, but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country, and then the public turns against us. But we have to do our job, and you have to have a series.
Man, he's writing a fan fiction. What's he saying? Well, basically, here's what they're gonna do. Like, I can see if there's any more of these posts here too, because there's been a lot going on. I never really watched the rest of this. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll scroll down. Give me a minute. But yeah, he did an interview, and oh man, I think this is it,
so
right?
I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally.
Yeah, that's the same one. Let me make sure if I can find the other ones. Oh, there's this.
We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let it become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world. And all I want to do is I want to have a level, fast, but fair playing field.
There are 20 states that still have federal minimum wage at $7.25, and I actually have a map. 19 of these states actually voted for you, sir.
Yep.
And you can see
Right.
it
Yeah.
right here. I don't know if you remember this, but during the debate in 2020,
Dude, she's being so obnoxious. She's trying to eat. You see, like, she's trying to get him mad.
I asked you if you would raise the minimum wage. You said you would consider it.
Yeah.
And so my question for you is, now that you are going back to the White House, for these 19 states that voted for you, are you going to raise the federal
It's a very low
minimum wage?
number. I will agree. It's a very low number. Let me give you the downside, though.
Yeah.
In California, they raised it up to a very high number. And your restaurants are going out of business all over the place. The population is shrinking. It's had a very negative impact. But there is a level at which you could do it, absolutely. Yeah.
What is that level, do you
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I can say this. You have a lot of businesses that are open and thriving because of the lower minimum wage. If you raise it too much, and you understand this, if California went crazy, they went crazy. And the restaurants are closing all over. Many more people are hurt.
So I hear you saying, similarly to sort of what you said in 2020, will you consider it? Is this something you're going to look at?
I'd want to speak to the governors. And the other thing that's very complicated about minimum wages is places are so different. Mississippi and Alabama and great places are very different than New York or California. I mean, in terms of the cost of living and other things. So it would be nice to have just a minimum wage for the whole country, but it wouldn't work because you have places where it's very inexpensive.
And he's right about that. The thing, he's right.
To
Yeah,
live,
he is.
Where a minimum wage, which is $8 or $9, might be, might have very little effect because the cost of living in certain places is really low.
Yeah, no, he's totally right about that. What's it? About the edit the Constitution? Oh, here we go. Millionaires agreeing with billionaires? What a timeline. Well, I think they should raise the minimum wage too. Actually, I don't really think I don't see the point for raising the minimum wage because like people aren't really being paid minimum wage in most jobs. So like, I don't really think that's going to matter in a lot of cases. But I don't think it really makes a difference because you're going to have universal basic income 30 years anyway. Like, let's be honest.
You promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn. Bro. Oh, shit. Anchors away, yeah. Just changing that entirely, yes. Just, yeah, oh my God.
14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're gonna have to get a change.
You promised.
That's it. Just gonna change it. Oh, man. Oyster Birthright was a bit of an exploit. If the United States was a video game, there would be a patch fixing that exploit. Let's be honest. Of course. Yes, it obviously is an exploit.
Peeling and
when John McCain let us down by voting, Murkowski and Collins.
Every other country stopped doing it? I'm not sure.
But they really let us down. They did us a great disservice because we would have had great health care. Obamacare is lousy health care. It's very expensive health care for the people. It's also expensive for the country, but for the people, it's lousy health care. When John McCain gave his thumbs down after saying for 10 years that he wants to repeal and replace, okay? And then he came out and put his now famous thumbs down.
I think that every solution for healthcare that's not single-payer systems is bad. Every solution that necessitates insurance is bad. It's like the window in which we're looking at solutions to healthcare is too small. And it's always been like this. Luigi Mokas? Yeah, I'm just saying you should shoot the people that run the services, but I don't agree with it. Yeah.
And he became a hero to the left. Just let me just tell you, if we find something better, I would love to do it. But unless we find, but one thing I have to say, I inherited Obamacare, or anything else you want to go. It's got about 20 names, but I inherited it. And I had a decision to make with Health and Human Services. I had a big decision to make. Do I make it as good as we can make it, or do I let it rot?
Yeah, exactly. Can you explain single payer for normies? Basically, your taxes are higher and the government gives you health care. That's what I think the solution is. Because so think about it like this. Every dollar spent on healthcare that goes to a private company, a lot of that money is paid out in dividends and big CEO salaries and payouts to other people. So there's a lot of excess money that the company collects because it's a for-profit company. All of that excess money is being added to the total amount of healthcare cost an individual has. So if you remove the profit aspect of it, and it just simply existed to serve a function, then you would have lower costs because you would not have all of this extra money that needs to be made as profit. Just, it's so fucking obvious. Yeah, so public healthcare? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that you should have private healthcare as well. I don't think that it should be illegal to have private healthcare, but people should be able to rely on public healthcare. The people whose lives really get fucked up by healthcare are not the lower class or the upper class, it's the middle class. Because lower class people, and if you're really fucking broke, you just show up to the emergency room. That's what you do. Like, I had to take my mom to the emergency room probably 10 times. Every single time that we get a bill, you know what we do with the bill? We throw it away. And then we go to the emergency room again, and we get another bill. That's it. And it would just keep happening. And so it's not a big deal. And also, we had something called the MAP program. That's what it is here in Texas. And if you make under a certain amount of money, you then have your health care paid for by MAP, which is like it turned your copay from being like my copay for getting dental work done, they like pulled out a tooth, was $10. Literally $10. Like, you don't have to pay anything. And I could have also just walked out and not paid it. How is that not the same as government healthcare? It is. But what I'm saying is that the real squeeze on people comes from people that make too much money to qualify for government assistance, and they make too little money to be able to afford private healthcare without it affecting their budget. Those are the people that are very negatively affected. It's the middle, I'd say like probably 50% of people. Probably maybe 70, 80% of people, really. So yeah, that's my experience at least.
And a lot of political people said, let it rot and let it be a failure.
Yeah.
I said, that's not the right thing to do. And
somebody says free healthcare in Canada has issues too. What if I told you that we have issues with healthcare here? I used to think Canadian healthcare was really bad until I asked a few people, and then they all told me, like, no, it's fine. I've been there and it's okay. So I think that people having bad interactions is always true, but that's not something that's probably limited to Canada. And I know that, like, my mom had bad experiences with private healthcare here. Like, that's what happens no matter what.
Very good people in the medical area that handled that. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, we really have an obligation to make it as good as we can. And we did. We made it as good as we can make it. Instead of making it bad where everybody would be calling for its repeal, I made it so that it works. Now,
but you did try to overturn.
I did dislike the fact that Obamacare necessitated you paying insurance. I thought it was a government overreach. When a person is legally compelled to pay a private company, I think that's disgusting.
Been selling a lot to these tourists,
like just straight up the mandate. Yeah, that's the main reason I didn't like it. Car insurance?
You won't get any hard sell.
I think car insurance is slightly different because you're using public roads. And so it's like you're basically like paying for the roads and you're affecting other people, and it's also for the other person and not necessarily yourself. Like, your car insurance is meant to pay for the other person's damages also. But also, like, I do have that viewpoint for car insurance as well, but health insurance, I very strongly believe that, and car insurance, I'm not as strongly motivated. Yeah, driving is, that's also a really great point too, is that you don't have to drive, but you do have to have health care, right?
Turn it,
it's
sir.
Well, it's
you did
lousy.
Try to overturn it. You did have your Justice Department try to direct the Supreme Court to.
No, we got a little bit of a surprising opinion, to be honest with you. If it would have been overturned, we would have had much better health care right now. But right now, we have something that I made the best of. I could have made the worst of it, and it would have fallen by the wayside.
It's disappointing that they tried to make the best of it. I think they should totally throw it out and do single-payer healthcare. I have, like, I'm going to be honest, like, I don't really care what they do until they do that.
Man,
I did the right thing from a human standpoint. But, you know, I'm sort of proud of my decision. At the same time, sometimes I regret it. I told the people, and I gave them the money to do it. I said, fix it, make it work, because people would have suffered. But it's too bad that they voted no. I wish John McCain, I wish he fought for 10 years on replacing Obamacare for 10 years, and then he voted against. Nobody understands.
Sir, you said during the campaign you had concepts of a plan. Do you have an actual plan at this point for health care?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a full plan. There's no plan. No.
We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking, because Obamacare stinks. It's lousy. There are better answers. If we come up with a better...
I think that RFK, what they need to do whenever he gets in charge, assuming that happens, right? Big assume. But they need to make it to where you can't take electives in high school that replace physical education, and physical education is mandatory for everybody. Because the real issue, the reason why people need healthcare, they need more healthcare, it's because everybody's fat and they don't do anything. Like, if you go back and you look at, like, you know, videos and photos of, like, you know, high schools back in the day, people were in much better shape than they are now. Like I see, like I'm driving, you know, to fucking Burger King, and I see like all the high school kids. There's so many fat kids. Holy shit! Look at all the hogs, the little piglets walking around. You can't have that. What is that? No. Fuck them. Yeah, consumption's bad. Yeah, exactly.
Answer. I would present that answer to Democrats.
Even elementary school, like you see all the little piglets walking home from school. You shouldn't be 170 pounds if you're in 4th grade. That's too much. Stop eating food. They eat too much. Yes. And you have physical education become mandatory. JFK actually had a national mandate for exercising our youth. His speech even speaks to it, and about not being right seeing a chubby child. I completely agree with that. I do, like 100%. And I think also it's going to help. So like the issue is that being fat and being unhealthy is something that causes secondary effects and tertiary effects as well. So like basically there's the second order effect of being fat that now you have low self-esteem. And then the third order effect of now you have depression because girls don't want to talk to you because you're fucking fat. So if RFK puts your fat ass on a treadmill and you're not fat and you look normal, well then maybe they'd be wanting to talk to you. You wouldn't have as much depression, you wouldn't feel fucking upset, and everything would be fine. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you have less incels. That's it. You look at the symptoms and you don't fix the disease. That's the problem. I heavily disagree with this being a legal mandate. I don't. I think that schools right now, and also it is a legal mandate now. Like, you're required to take physical education in a lot of places. All I'm saying is that you change that to where you can't take art and replace that. Drawing anime girls should not replace walking a mile. It doesn't make sense.
Everybody else, and I do something about it, but until we have that, or until they can approve it, but we're not going to go through the big deal. I am the one that saved Obamacare, I will say, and I did the right thing. I could have done the more political thing and killed it, and all I had to do is starve it to death.
You did try to have your Justice Department effectively kill it, though,
No,
sir.
Kill it.
Oh, and then another thing is that for all school meals, meat only. You have hamburgers on Mondays and Thursdays. You have chicken on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then on Friday, you got steak. Vegans?
Hey, you got off lucky.
As I said, meat only. We want people to be healthy. Maybe you can make a garden out in the back for like the rabbits or something, and then the vegans can go out there. Maybe have fish? Yeah, fish alternative. Meat every day. That's the way it is. What about fish? Fish is fine.
From a legal standpoint,
Yep.
but from a physical standpoint, I made it work.
In your
Steak.
concepts of a plan, sir, will people with pre-existing conditions still have coverage, and can you guarantee their prices will not go up?
The answer is yes. They'll have coverage. You have to have it.
And what about their
Because
prices?
you know what? It's
what
in-
about their prices, sir?
I want the prices to go down. I want to have better health care for less money. And there are ways of doing it, I believe. And I have some...
pick up the middlemen that are making money off of it for no fucking reason. I mean, I gotta say, like, what we do is right with that. Like, healthcare insurance is a fucking scam. It shouldn't exist. You shouldn't shoot the people that work there. But he's fucking right. He's completely.
But I have the smartest people in that world. You know, that's a separate world unto itself. I have the smartest people in that world looking at it and trying. And if they come up with something, I will present it. Now, maybe you won't be able to sell it, but
Yep.
if we get better health care for less money, I believe it's very saleable.
Just very quickly, when will we see your fully developed plan? When are you
Well,
going to
I
show
don't know
the
that you'll
public
see it at all. I can only say that we have some of the best healthcare people. I've always
That's reassuring.
tinkered with it. I think it's a little hard to explain. Obamacare, when I took it over, was a disaster. And I made it
has insured
workable.
20 million people.
Yeah, because of me. Because of me.
Oh, man. Jesus.
If you look at what I did, I was the one. I made it good.
You tried to
legally.
repeal and replace it. You tried to kill it.
Because if I repealed it and replaced it, we would have had a better system because we wouldn't have had health care. And the Democrats would have been forced to do something. If we wouldn't have had it, the Democrats would have been forced to do something that they wouldn't do if we have it.
Yep. Insurance companies fine, they just need regulation. In Europe, you have it, and they basically can't deny anything. Hospital deals with them directly, you never hear anything about it, it's just like utilities. Yeah, maybe that'd be a better solution. Yeah, sure. That was a disaster because of Obama, saved 20 million because of him, this guy's dope, yeah, for sure. So, Lloyd, want to say Conda's been great lately? Thanks, man, yeah. Was Obamacare really that bad? It helped me a lot when I needed coverage. Obamacare had a lot of good things, like, for example, how you couldn't deny people for pre-existing conditions. The thing is that a lot of people, it was so long ago now, people don't remember how much of trouble it was for people to get healthcare coverage when you could deny them based off of pre-existing conditions. So it's kind of like an issue where basically, so it increased the cost because obviously, like, the reason why okay, so let me take a step back. How do insurance companies make money? They make money by averaging against actuarial tables, which are basically degrees of risk. They look at somebody's age, they look at all of their demographics, and then they have a calculator for how much money this person will probably cost. So basically, when you have to add in people that are really big draws on that. So, like, for example, you add in somebody who's disabled, right? Somebody has cerebral palsy, for example. This is going to massively increase the average. So if you have an average of people that are relatively healthy, you can afford to keep your premiums lower and maintain the same profit, right? And so, again, the profit, you could say, is the problem, but this is a for-profit company, so we're just going to assume that's what's going to happen. And so what happens is that the insurance companies, what they do is they effectively try to take the people out of the system that would cost a lot of money. Because, like, these are the people, the extremes, that raise everybody else's costs up. And so that's what the insurance companies used to do, and then they became compelled to have to give them insurance anyway, which is how it should have been. Oh. Bro. He's not even the president who's doing this shit. State 51. It was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. I look forward to seeing the governor again so that we may continue to talk. Our in-depth talks on tariffs and trade, the results of which will truly be spectacular for all. Donald J. Trump.
I'm a disgrace to society.
The governor of Canada. This can't be real. I used to think that. Jesus, how's he posting this much?
Blast on media business.
He doesn't give a fuck. He actually doesn't give a fuck now. This is going to be insane. America is going to start building monuments again. Any person investing $1 billion or more in the United States will receive fully expedited approvals and permits. Oh boy, oh boy. Let's see. Oh, this is him retweeting Biden falling asleep. President of our lifetime about him. Oh my fucking God.
Let's talk about Project 2025. This is the conservative policy blueprint. You disavowed it during the campaign. You called it a product of the radical right. You said some of their ideas were abysmal.
I said some of it is. Some of it is very...
I love how it's elected. I never said... Of course we're going to do Project 2025. Yeah, I mean, duh.
Just get fucked yourself.
Very good. Some of it's very mainstream, actually. Frankly, the Democrats should have used some of it because they went, with all the transgender that they were doing, with the men playing in women's sports. If they wouldn't have done that, maybe they would have done better.
Trump's right. He's completely right. This was a huge wedge issue with a lot of people because it was a direct insult to people's intelligence.
So you take
totally
my question. You're now giving people involved in Project 2025 prominent roles in your administration. Are you changing your mind about Project 2025? Is this now the policy blueprint for the second Trump administration?
Some people, if you take a look at the group, there's hundreds of people were involved. And I was actually, I reprimanded the whole group. I said, you shouldn't have placed this document in front of the voters because I have nothing to do with it and I'm the one that's running. You had no right to do this where you put a 1,000-page document in front, and many of those things I disagree with. Now, many of those things I happen to agree with. Many of those things Democrats should have agreed to, and I think they would have done much better in the election because they got slaughtered.
Well, I guess people see the list: Russ Vought, Brendan Carr, Peter Navarro, John Ratcliffe, Pete Hoekstra, Monica Crowley.
The inventor has some intentions. It's pretty obvious, that she's not a fan of Trump. Yeah.
They think these are all the people who were involved in or writing Project 2025. This must be a blueprint for work requirements, eliminating the Head Start program, criminalizing pornography. Is that what we can expect
I
to
don't
see?
know how they voted. I don't know. I never spoke to them actually about it, and I purposely, and I told you, normally it would be just the opposite. I'd review every page. I purposely didn't even want to see it because when somebody like you asked me a question about Project 2025, I can honestly say I've never seen it. I have nothing to do with it. I didn't read it, but
I believe that. I don't think you read it. I don't think you did. Does anybody actually think you read it? Of course not.
I did hear some things in there that I would totally disagree with. And I said to the people that were really the people behind it, you know who those people are? I said, you really had no right doing this to me because they used it as a soundbite, the Democrats. And I don't know, it couldn't have been too effective because they got slaughtered. But they did use it as a soundbite.
But to people who see, he's bringing in all of these people from Project 2025, he must know what it is.
Well,
you know
what? I don't know what it is. No, I don't know what it is.
Why the fuck would I read it? Wait, here's the reason why. Is I'm sure there's something, if it's a 1,000-page document, there's probably something in Project 2025 that I agree with. But it doesn't mean I agree with everything. It's you can't look at an idea and be like, okay, well, you have a shopping basket full of ideas. You have to take the entire basket and take everything at the same time. No. There are ideas that exist independently, and if this is a good idea, then do it. If it's not, then don't. It's very simple.
You still don't know
but I heard certain things that I didn't like. And by the way, I heard certain things that are phenomenal.
Like what?
Like law and order. We want law and order. Okay? Little things like, let's put prisoners in jail. Let's not let people come out and raid every drugstore in Manhattan so that we have to put glass up and every store is going out of business.
I think a lot of people agree with that. I mean, I know I do. I think that the majority of people agree with that. Is that not already the law? No, it's not. So basically they did this for a while. I don't know if they still are doing it, where basically they said that if you stole something of less of, I think it was $1,000, they weren't going to go after you. So that's what it was. Enforce the law? Yeah, right? And this is why a lot of the stores now, I swear to God, the jewelry stores have less security than a fucking CVS in some of these photos I see. I'll be right back.
And what did they do? They deleted and destroyed a whole year and a half.
Don't you think the leader should know the ideology and plans of those that they lead? His excuse is that he never read it for months is just ignorance by admission at this point. No, I don't think that all of those ideas have to exist inside of each other. Yeah, I don't think you need to read people have a very strong adherence to an all or nothing perspective where it's you either have to agree with all of these things or none of them, or you have to agree with another group of all of these things or none of them. The fact is that there are a lot of ideas that people have that are good independently of other ideas that are also bad.
And what did they do? They deleted and destroyed a whole year and a half worth of testimony. Do you know that I think those people committed a major crime.
Sir?
And Cheney was behind it. And so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee.